Greetings, fellow Demon Slayers. This is Taimanin Mari here today with a daily video. So, what's the topic today? I've been getting a lot of questions from people inboxing me on Discord, comments on videos, and people are just kind of wondering, like, what to build into their fourth skill slot. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, you guys already know how I feel. I don't want the fourth skill slot. I'm not going to buy it. So I don't have it to test. Like, I'm totally against this pack. I would have gotten it if it wasn't for the bonus skill slot. I feel like the bonus skill slot should be available to everyone. So, opinions aside, I will give you guys theory-crafted builds that I've thought of, like, in case I were to ever get a fourth skill slot. But I will never get the slot myself, showcase it, or test it. And, yeah, like, I really don't even want to do like a fourth skill slot build because it isolates free players. But we're just going to be building off the typical 3-slot build. So to anyone who's free to play, I'm going to give you the information, like everyone's going to hear it. And then you're just going to omit the fourth skill that I give for each character. Because I really don't like that a whole group of players are isolated because this slot exists. But the people who did buy it, this video's for you. Like, you'll be able to see what to do if you have the fourth skill slot, and then others will be able to see. Now, I'm not going to go into supporters or anything crazy like that. We're just going to look at skills today, otherwise the video would be like 40 minutes long and all this crazy discussion. So first we're going to look at Sakura. We're going to assume you're running all blue because that's basically meta for her. We're always going to run Shadow Cleave and Shadow Spin. That's the usual for Sakura. Now, I like running Shadow Fling as my third skill as someone who does not have 4 slots. The reason I prefer Shadow Fling is because it sends her airborne, the shurikens home in, the shurikens pop shields rather easily, and it's decent for dodging mechanics as long as you time it right. The like 20 frame recovery she has at the end when she lands isn't super punishing. If you, like, once you play the game for like 500 hours like me, you basically know how to time it where she doesn't get hit at the end. Okay, now, outside of Shadow Cleave, Shadow Spin, and Shadow Fling, what are we going to do? So, fourth skill slot, you could either run Shadow Shark. Shadow Shark is a great option in PvP, and it's usually overlooked, which is sad, because while it is inconsistent that her AI lands it, because the AI is stupid and as dumb as a box of rocks, when it does land Shadow Shark, she literally does about half of their life bar. Like, and this is even like from when I was farming top 100. Like, Shadow Shark hits like a train. It's ridiculous how hard it hits. So you could use that as a fourth skill. If you don't like the inconsistency of Shadow Shark, or you're building her for PvE, you could run Shadow Shift in both PvP or PvE. The benefit to Shadow Shift is it gives her a port that always goes to the target's back, allowing Sakura to get some basic attacks in on their back, which is good, because it gives her an opening that she doesn't normally have to land basic attacks. You can also get a 25% damage reduction buff for 7 seconds from running the skill. Now the skill only has a 6-second cooldown. What that means is that she will have a 100% uptime damage reduction on her. So it just makes her infinitely more tanky, especially if you run supporters like Mai. So I definitely prefer the utility of Shadow Shift over the inconsistency of Shadow Shark. That's me personally. If you don't like either of those, you can just simply stick with Shadow Cleave, Shadow Spin, Shadow Fling, and then throw on her Dual Edge Flurry, which isn't bad. Like, the only thing with Sakura is her basic attacks leave much to be desired, so that's why I stick with Shadow Shift if I were to have a fourth skill slot. But Dual Edge Flurry still buffs her damage, so her basics have a nice steroid, and it actually makes it so that her last hit, where she does those 4 like little shadow shurikens, we'll let it play one more time. This right here, that hit, it makes it so it knocks down. It doesn't say it anywhere in the skill description, but yeah, it does knock down. It does not normally do that when you don't have Dual Edge Flurry. So, TLDR, Shadow Cleave, Shadow Spin, Shadow Fling, and then either Shadow Shark, Shadow Shift, or Dual Edge Flurry for your fourth skill slot. And you'll find that for some characters there are multiple options. Simply because the fourth skill slot is already over the top. It's not like so cookie cutter, except for some characters where like only one skill is the best option. So moving on, because we want to get through this in a timely manner, we're going to look at two Asagi colored builds. We're going to look at green and red. So, for Asagi, it's common knowledge you always run Kojenko with Taimanin art. So for red Asagi, you all know I prefer Munika because the slow on Munika stacks with the slow that Kojenka causes. So, with that being said, my ideal red build for Asagi would be Munika, Kojenka, Taimanin art, and probably Mueka. Simply because in a PvP setting, Mueka is going to allow her to port to their back again. The cooldown is reduced by 20% with a red build, so she'll be able to port constantly. And you know what porting to their back means. More chances to smack them with Taimanin art. The other big benefit, and this is huge, is that the AI is going to be forced to be hitting the dodge button constantly. Because Munika starts with a dodge, Kojenka starts with a dodge, and Mueka starts with a dodge. So what this means is that it will always be trying to dodge, which would just up the chances of her proccing a successful Kojenka. The other huge benefit is the fact that Munika itself causes a 30% slow. And when the enemy is slowed, it would just make it easier for Kojenka, rather not Kojenka, but for the AI to fish for ultimate dodges with Kojenka. Because they're moving slower, it can cherry pick the hit. Now, the fact that you still have Mueka and Kojenka off cooldown, even if she pops Munika first, means that the AI will simply be fishing for dodges, as I stated before. So your Kojenka rate will go up. You'll be going to their back even if you fail Kojenka, allowing her to time it in art. And then Munika just provides another dodge input on top of already providing a slow. So overall, this would be my favorite build, for PvP. For PvE, instead of Mueka, I would run Satsujenka just for more damage output. So, we'll do Red Asagi again. TLDR, you have Munika, Kojenka, Taimanin art. For PvE, you will run Satsujenka as your fourth skill. For PvP, you will run Mueka as your fourth skill. Now we look at Green Asagi. You will run Munika. Oh, sorry, not Munika. I'm an idiot. You will run Taimanin art, Kojenka, and Renjenka. This is the typical build for a Green Asagi. Now, if you want to tackle on a fourth skill slot, I think the best option would probably just be Mueka, just because it increases her damage by 10%, which already pairs well with Renjenka doing 150% increased damage. And because you're porting to their back, it'll be easier to put her into an advantage. It's going to be easier to put her at an advantage for the Renjenka to hit them without her getting cut off. You simply port to their back, buff her, and then activate Renjenka and beat their face in with the stabs. Again, these are all theory crafted. Someone may have come up with something better, but these are my opinions. So for Green Asagi, TLDR, we have Kojenka, Renjenka, Taimanin art, and a Mueka just for the attack steroid of 10% for 5 seconds on only a 6-second cooldown. I think that would be my favorite choice for PvP or PvE. Now, moving on from Asagi. We're going to come to Renko, who's probably the easiest one. So Renko, the typical build we all know is Ito style Ichi no Kata for her basic attack steroid, her meteor impact, and her wind slice. Everyone already runs this in PvP and PvE for the most part. So we're just simply going to tack the shift onto that. It works the same way as Sakura. She's going to get a 25% defense buff, which pairs well with Mai. It's a 7-second uptime, so while the cooldown is 8 seconds, after her skills are max, the cooldown will be lower than the actual buff duration, meaning she also gets a 100% uptime. And then it just gives her the utility of being able to port around. For example, opponents like Yukikaze, she can port to them in a PvP setting, drop a meteor on them, and being outranged really doesn't matter because of the utility of the shift moving her. And then on top of that, it puts her in range to land a good wind slice to cause groggy in PvP. So, it works in PvE as well for the same reasons. It gives her a defense debuff and ports her around. making it so you could just shift to things and do meteor. So your basic combo would go from being like Ichi no Kata full combo into the Virgil slash into meteor, or doing Wind Slice into meteor. You would just simply have a third option. You could do the shift into meteor, or any combination of. So for example, with Renko, you could do her full Ichi style, her full Ito style into a Wind Slice, like they all cancel into each other, and then off of the Wind Slice you could proc a meteor, or you could do Ito style, chain it into the shift off of the Virgil slash into meteor. So this is just like a cookie cutter build that'll work no matter what you're doing with her. So, that's Renko. That's what I would do with her. That's actually what I've seen people in the top 100 doing with her with 4 skill slots. So I can tell you that that's probably a good build to do, even without having tested it. Yuki and Shiranui. Yuki, I use my Yuki often. I just haven't considered a 4th skill slot for her. So sadly, we're going to skip over her. I'll think about it and get back to you guys. The same with Shiranui. I haven't used Shiranui since I got her. Like, I got her to 75 in maybe like a week or so, and then never played her again. So, here's what I'll be doing. As far as Sakura, her skills are almost done. She needs 3 more. Once Sakura's skills are complete, I'll be exclusively playing Shiranui until her skills are done. So I will play her, and I will think about what she needs as a 4th skill slot, and I'll get back to you guys, and we'll maybe do a part 2 of this video. So I'll have a theory craft for Shiranui within the coming weeks. And then I'll just tack Yukikaze onto her and, give you guys what I think a good 4th skill would be, because I have to really think about it for them. Because like I said, as someone who doesn't have a 4th skill slot or want it, I don't really pay it much thought. Like, I've thought about it with Sakura, Asagi, and Renko, but not so much with these two. I have also thought about it with Emily. And as far as Murasaki and Sue, I'm sorry guys, I don't own them to really give, like, a solid opinion. If someone who plays Sue and Murasaki is kind enough to give me a build that they're using with 4 skill slots, I'll go ahead and share it in that part 2 video, along with the Shiranui and the Yuki, or the Mizuki girls, which is probably easier to say. So we're going to end this video with looking at Emily. What would I do for Emily? Really easy. We all know I run Red Emily, because when she's not auto-farming, I do run her all red. So what are we going to do for Red Emily? Well, in a PvE setting, you always want Zero System, Aegis Tackle, and Axe Impact. Aegis Tackle for the crit steroid when running all red, Axe Impact because when it crits it hits for Broly, and then Zero System for the utility of her just always attacking in PvE. So what would we tack on to this already decent red build that puts out good damage? Well, we'll just give her a heal. That procs off of 3 red. She'll get an I got tongue-tied. Sorry about that. She will get an increase to restoration frequency by 75% from running a 3 set of red. So, the build already does enough damage, so she doesn't really need more. So Healing Field just gives her utility, making it easier to get your 50% challenges done as far as HP, making it easier to keep her alive. If, maybe your Emily isn't like near best in slot like mine, it'll just give her that extra utility to keep her living. So Healing Field overall is the best option. And the same thing goes for PvP. Now in a PvP setting, what I do for Emily is I just simply take off Zero System and replace it with Homing Bullets, because in PvP she will always be auto-attacking anyway, so you don't need this. So, Homing Bullets replaces it for a consistent damage option that always hits. And again, we just keep Aegis Tackle and Axe for the wombo combo of being able to one-shot them. And we just add Healing Field because of the same reasons. It gives her the ability to heal. It pairs well with Aegis Tackle because she will be trying to dodge each time she does these abilities, forcing her to land like more Healing Field procs because she will be fishing for dodges 50% of the time when the AI chooses an ability. Now, Axe Impact, it won't work because it will be holding down the dodge button. So, holding down the dodge button, like to get an ultimate dodge, you do have to tap the button. So, Axe Impact wouldn't fall under that, like, fishing for dodges thing. But Aegis Tackle would, because it's a tap. But either way, yeah. TLDR, PvE. Zero System, Aegis Tackle, Axe Impact, Healing Field. PvP, Homing Bullets, Aegis Tackle, Axe Impact, Healing Field. And that'll be Emily. So yeah, that's 4 of the 6 characters I own. That's what I would do for them. I'll get back to you as far as like Yukikaze and Shiranui. And if anyone is kind enough, like I would really appreciate it. If you guys own Murasaki and you own Sue and you have 4 skill slots and have a build that's working and want to share it, by all means, like drop it in the comments and I'll probably include your build and credit you when I do a part 2 of this video for the Mizuki girls. If no one drops their builds that have 4 slots in the comments, or gives me one otherwise in a whisper on Discord, then what I'll do is I'll scout the top 100 and like look at Murasaki and see if I can find Sues that are up there running 4 skill slots. And we'll go from there as far as what they're doing, and I'll give you guys that information, because if the person is in the top 100, that means the build is most likely working. But I just wanted it to be a short vid today, so I gave you 4 of the 6 I own, and we'll do a part 2 later for people who really want this information. And again, I say I don't own a 4th skill slot, so don't take my word as law. I haven't been able to playtest these builds. They're all theory crafted. The only one that I know works is the Renko build, because I see a lot of Renkos in the top 100 with 4 skill slots running it. It's a consistent build. Everything else is up in the air, and you guys should experiment. Like, if you want to use my builds, great. Like, I appreciate that you respect my opinion, of course. It's awesome. But in this case, if you have 4 skill slots, experiment. You may come up with something better. Don't just take my word as law. So with that being said, if you found the video helpful or informative, please like and subscribe, as it really does help me out. And again, thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate all the support, as you guys already know. And with that, that'll be the video. You guys have a great rest of your day. May you have good luck in your gachas and in the arena. And you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.